right, everyone. Well, welcome to our next session for today, and I'm happy to kick us off. Again, I feel like some of these events, you feel like you're introducing yourself multiple times, but my name is Ragini Mantipati, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm an assistant teaching professor, or sometimes you'll hear lecturer at the Brown School. And I also have the pleasure of serving as the assistant dean for academic programs and the faculty chair for our dual degree MSW MPH students. I am happy to be joined by our colleagues in field education and admissions today, and to be able to talk to you all about our dual degree program, being able to share the details of the dual degree program and what makes it unique, our curriculum, and then resources available to you at the Brown School. Before we continue though, I'd like to take a pause and have my co-presenters introduce themselves. So Jewel, I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ragini. My name is Jewel Stafford. I am a teaching professor here at the Brown School in the MSW curriculum, and I have the pleasure of serving as assistant dean for the Office of Field Education. And in the Office of Field Education, we cover all three programs. So we cover MSW, MPH, and MSP. I hope I said my pronouns. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm super excited to talk to you today about just the opportunities we have for practicum. And I'm going to pass it over to Jamie.
Hi, all. Welcome again. Jamie Adkison Hennessy. I'm the Assistant Dean for Admissions and Enrollment Management. And I know we have a great presentation here that Ragini and Jewel are going to give, but since we have such a small group, how would y'all feel about just coming off mute for just a moment and introducing yourself? Marie, would you be willing to kick it off and then popcorn it over to the next person?
Yeah, sure thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Marie. I'm calling right now from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm currently finishing up my undergrad degree at BU. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about the Brown School curriculum. Should I be covering anything else here? Or is that
that's great.
We're good? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Madeline, you want to jump in?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Madeline. I'm currently getting my BSW at the University of Texas in Austin. So I'm going to be doing the advanced standing MSW and MPH. But I'm originally from New Jersey. And yeah, and my pronouns are she, her.
Excellent. Thank you. Sam?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam. I am currently in Denver, Colorado, and I'm doing the Teach for America program. So I've been teaching for 2 years, and yeah, I'm just super excited. I feel like I've learned a lot from this experience, and then like the MSW MPH program will help me take what I've learned here and like actually create change for these students. I'm originally from Boise, Idaho. Pronouns are she, her.
Excellent. Thank you. John?
I'm John. I am currently finishing up my undergrad studying community health at Indiana University in Bloomington, but I'm originally from Chicago, so the Midwest.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. Zoe?
Hi, folks. I'm Zoe. I use they, them pronouns. I'm currently in Tucson, Arizona. At my job, I'm a program supervisor for Knowles, which is an outdoor leadership school. Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast, went to UMass Amherst for my undergrad.
Excellent. Thank you, Zoe. Jessica, do you want to give yourself a quick introduction and just tell us where you're calling in from?
Sure. Morning. Hi, everyone. Maybe afternoon. I'm Jessica. Use pronouns she, her. I'm calling in from San Francisco, originally from Wisconsin.
Awesome. Thank you, Ragini and Jewel. I know that was not on the run of show, but I thought it's always nice with our dual degree students, since it is always a smaller cohort, to get to know one another a little bit.
No,
start off with, but I'll hand it back over to you.
Jamie, you know me and Jewel, we can go with the flow. We're good with it. And I love it. I love that when we have these smaller groups, we can get to know each other a little bit better. So please feel free to ask questions come up if you want to put them in the chat, and we'll probably try to answer all the questions towards the end, but I do believe in continuing to have that conversation throughout the information we provide. All right, so just want to say to get us started that I'd like to share our overall mission at the Brown School. And so Angela mentioned this earlier. Our mission here is to engage multidisciplinary faculty, staff, and students to create a better and more equitable society through leading rigorous science, transformative education, and authentic partnerships. So there's a lot of words here, and it is a mouthful. So you might be asking, what does this mean? So what we mean here is that we're attempting to engage across multiple fields and multiple disciplines within the Brown School. So not only do we have expertise in social work, public health, and social policy, we also have folks that are specialized in economy, public policy, and psychology as well. We want to motivate transformational science, and to do that, we also want to share and disseminate our work, including engaging in partnerships with our broader community at multiple levels. So we also want to make sure we're exposing students to that transformative education to be able to help better prepare you all to be that next generation of change makers in this work. So our curriculum was designed to be different, and that's across all of our degree programs, but here we're focusing on our MSW MPH program. And so first we have that one of the signature aspects of the Brown School is our focus on evidence-based practice. So what we mean here is we just want to take the best practice that has emerged from research, practice, and policy, and that takes a long time, right, and rigor to get to what we want to call evidence-based practice. So once we arrive at what we want to make sure that our graduates are steeped in evidence-based practice, and we also ensure that our faculty, our staff, and our Brown School community are also thinking about evidence-based practice as well. Next, we focus on in our curriculum on multiple levels of engagement, and this is ranging from micro or the individual level to meso or intra levels of family and community, all the way out to macro or societal or public policy level. So we see and recognize that there are multiple influences on different types of outcomes, whether you're thinking about education, social behaviors, health differences, equity, or policy. And so these outcomes utilize different levels of intervention or prevention as well. And we want to ensure that students are prepared whether they choose to work in direct practice, family, or community, to institutional and organizational levels, and also thinking through, more of the macro public policy and transdisciplinary approaches. So this is a word you probably hear a lot when we talk about the Brown School, which is transdisciplinary. And so, as I mentioned before, we have a focus on being transdisciplinary in our curriculum, research, policy, and practice. It takes many different professions and disciplines to solve these complex social, health, and policy issues. And we may all be trained in one specific discipline, but it takes all of us to come together to really find a solution. And so for us, it's whether we're thinking about prevention, intervention, or overall solutions to these complex issues. And it's also about being intentional. So a transdisciplinary process is firmly rooted in how we see the world and arrive to these solutions. We at the Brown School are also very committed to health and social equity, which holds at the center of many things we do at the school, whether it's education, research, practice, or policy. And in centering equity, we want to ensure that people, regardless of their identities and ability status, can achieve the highest level of health and social outcomes. So we aim to have this transcend across our curriculum, including our foundation, practice, policy, experiential learning, or what Jewel was saying before in terms of field education, and culminating coursework. And then again, similarly to what I mentioned previously, we want to make sure that this is the framework as to how we approach our work and profession. And then lastly, we embrace traditional and emerging career paths. So whether students choose a more traditional career path or something that is more emerging in the field, we want to provide support and ensure students are well trained in both areas. So as we know, the world is constantly changing. And in fact, around here, we typically say the constant in this world is change. And so it's important that we prepare students with education, perspectives, and practices in both of these areas. So whether you prefer to have more training in a certain treatment modality or biostatistics or understanding harm reduction and systems dynamics, we have opportunities and provide opportunities to obtain the breadth of knowledge and pursue diverse career pathways. All right, so diving now into our concentrations and specializations for both programs. In the MSW program, we have 8 concentrations that you see here on the slide. So American Indian and Alaskan Native, Children, Youth, and Families, health, mental health, social economic development from a domestic or international lens, social impact leadership. And then we have an individualized option for students who maybe see some of their passions and goals and what they want out of their curriculum in these other areas to be able to create an individualized course plan that you will work with your advisors and your faculty to create. In our public health program, then we have 6 STEM designated MPH specializations. Just fun fact, our specializations are on their way to being named concentrations. They essentially mean the same thing. It's the area in which you're concentrating your coursework. So we have our generalist track, which provides students an opportunity to think through competencies in the other 5 specialization areas listed here on this slide as a part of your overall curriculum and course plan. A caveat here that you see on the slide is given the requirements of the dual degree program, which I'm going to go through in just a minute, students in the dual degree program choose a concentration in the MSW side, which we saw on the previous slide, and then are usually generalists in the public health program. And that's just to provide more flexibility in your course scheduling. As specializing in MPH in these other 5 areas, there might be additional course requirements. And so just to make sure that we're giving you flexibility in your overall curriculum. We also have specializations in epidemiology and biostatistics, global health, health policy analysis, mental and behavioral health, and urban design. So before we dive into the more nitty-gritty details of the program, I just want to stop here to talk about cost of attendance. And so our MSW tuition is $23,420 per semester, and MPH tuition is $20,800 per semester. Students are assessed the tuition rate based on the program, what we call they are primed to. So each semester you're primed to either the MSW or the MPH program. And so this equates to 3 semesters of MSW tuition and then 3 semesters of MPH tuition for most students. It may look a little different for students with MSW advanced standing, which I think I heard somebody say that they are on that track. Student health insurance is also part of your overall annual costs. The amount here, I believe, shows the 2022-2023 health insurance rate, which will be updated for the upcoming academic year. And then domestic students have the option to waive out of the graduate student health insurance enrollment, but international students are required to enroll. The health and wellness fee and the student activities fee are also charged on an annual basis. And I encourage you, if you have any specific questions about your unique financial situation, just encouraging you to connect with our admissions team, who can connect you with our financial services team. And we also have resources on our admitted student resources page. All right, so looking at overall program overview. So in year 1 of the dual degree program, students enter what we call their foundation year, which is where, rightfully so, you will be focusing on your MSW foundation level curriculum and foundation practicum. In year 2, then you're focusing on your 2nd year in the program, and that is where you're going to be engaging in that more MPH foundation level curriculum. And then you'll have your dual practicum experience, typically, which occurs in the summer after your 2nd year. And then lastly, in year 3, you'll take a mix of more specialized coursework in both the MSW and MPH curriculum. And one note for students completing program requirements in the summer, this may be a combination of practicum or courses. The summer course offerings just may vary depending on the program. And then most of this is prescriptive. It feels a little prescriptive for the first 2 years, but there is room to move in some of your more specialized coursework depending on your concentration, specialization, and program, where you are in the program. Right, so the total credits required for the dual degree program is 85 credit hours. And so when we break that down, we have the MSW program will have 33 credits, and that includes 2 practicum types. And I won't get too much into practicum because that's all dual, and you're going to hear a lot of me talking. So, and then in the MPH program, we have 34 credits, and that includes 1 type of practicum. And then finally, again, this is a dual degree, so there are some shared credits here. And so there's 18 credits that we call equivalent credits that are counted towards both degree programs. So here is a basic schematic of your first year of the dual degree program. Like I mentioned, you'll really be diving into your foundational level MSW coursework, which includes research methods, human behavior. I won't read through all of these courses, but you will also engage in 2 practice-based courses where you'll be working with individuals, families, and groups that we lovingly call Practice 1 or P1. And then the second course in that sequence is Social Work Practice with Organizations and Communities, or Practice 2. And then in your first year is when you will also start your Foundation Practicum and Integrative Seminar. In year 2, this is where, again, you'll be engaging in your more foundational level MPH coursework. So we have a foundation sequence that consists of 5 core classes. So epidemiology, biostatistics, health behavior, health promotion, environmental health, and health admin policy. You also will be in classes with your peers, and then also the incoming first-year MPH cohort that are starting their first year. And so cross-cutting themes in public health, which is on the other side of the slide, is a class that's taken by the entire cohort. So you take that class all together. And then our public health seminar sequencing allows for smaller group discussions that tie into the themes that you're learning in cross-cutting themes, and also allows us to pull in concepts of public health leadership. And then lastly, I just wanted to note that you will incorporate your practice methods courses based on your concentration in social work. And you may also be able to incorporate some of the more advanced public health coursework. You see this mouthful on the side: planning, implementing, and evaluating evidence-based programs and interventions. We have shortened that to call it PIE. And so you'll be able to engage in some of that more advanced coursework too, depending on your sequencing. So as we go into year 3, again, this is a mix of both sides. And so we've got, sorry, I guess I'll just pull them all up so I can talk it through together. So you will have your MSW coursework extended. So that'll be an additional 2 practice methods courses that you'll take. On the MPH side, all students take 2 classes called transdisciplinary problem solving courses, which I will go through in a minute. And then you'll take the next sequencing in your research methods or research sequence, which is applied linear modeling, and then your culminating experience, which is the MPH capstone. And then those shared credits, those equivalent courses are your evaluation course, your policy course, and then 3 skill labs that are one credit classes. Sorry, that should say 3, not 2, but 1 credit classes that are leadership and management focused. And then lastly, you'll also have, you're finishing up your practicum requirements there too. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we have specific courses that are transdisciplinary problem solving courses. These courses in their nature take special social health and policy related issues and apply a transdisciplinary lens, which includes multiple disciplines inside and outside of the Brown School. And so we have some campus-based offerings that we currently have that are a variety of topics, anywhere from chronic disease to thinking about child abuse, maltreatment prevention, to a more global perspective in reproductive health or gender and poverty. And then we also have field-based courses, and we hope to continue to bring these back. As you can imagine, in COVID, we had to put a halt on some of these courses. And so all students are encouraged to apply for these classes. They are application-based. And so, for example, this year we're able to run our policymaking and advocacy course in DC and our Costa Rica course looking at sustainability, development, and health. And so when we look at the end of the program, students have a few additional requirements. All MPH and dual degree students are required to do a capstone experience. This is an integrative learning experience that really should demonstrate student synthesis and understanding of your MPH foundational and specialization competencies. That's through a 2-course sequence over your final year, where in the fall you'll take capstone 1, and in the spring you'll take capstone 2. And capstone 1 allows you to start develop your idea and your research, or not even research, but the topic you would like to explore. And then in capstone 2 is where you actually do the work to bring that project to fruition. All MPH and dual degree students are required to pass the Certified in Public Health exam, which is the Public Health National Credentialing exam. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that today. That's down the road, but you will continue to get communication about credentialing and the exam throughout the course of your time in the program. So with that, I know it was a lot, but I want to make sure we have time for questions. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jewel.
Thank you so much, Ragini. That was so great. So here we're going to go through the why, what, where, and when and who of field education of Brown School. And so you probably are wondering, and as a lot of people do, why is field education an essential piece of your preparation for social work and public health practice? And so as Ragini explained, you've done a lot of theoretical foundational work, and our job in the Office of Field Education is really to bridge the gap between what you're learning in your classrooms and how to apply that work into community-based organizations, health departments, through a local to global context. So in our Office of Field Education, we see field as a signature pedagogy for your learning experience. And what that means is, how are you actually taking what you're learning to support, to guide, and inform that educational process in community-based organizations, institutions, and agencies? So we really feel that field education is a signature part of your experiential learning experience here at the Brown School. So what distinguishes field education at the Brown School from other schools? Well, we have a mutually interesting autonomy. We really believe in your ability to do it, and we can help. So almost like Home Depot, right? We believe in a mutual selection process. And so our process is designed for your agency and your autonomy. So you get to select your own practicum sites based off of your why. So many of you all talked about what your why is and what your North Star is. We're here to support and collaborate with you on achieving your goals. And the only way we can do that is to make sure you're in the driver's seat. We also provide advisory support through a number of programs. So we have a course called Foundations of Field. We have Advisor of the Day. We have systems called Handshake, but all of us serve as your board of directors. So think of if you thought of the Brown School as a nonprofit, Ragini, Jamie, and I are there to support you in your journey and your learning experience through field education. So we have a variety of resources, and we want to make sure that your coursework is aligned with what you're doing in your field practicum experiences. So what we say is, your educational learning agreement, which you'll learn a lot more about when you get into fields, is sort of your social contract with your agency, but it's also an independent study, right? So think about your independent study classes, and field is like your field-based independent study designed to integrate your curriculum. So bring your syllabus to your field courses and have conversations with your field instructors, who are your field supervisors, about the things you're learning, and see how you can apply those practical theories and principles, the software you're using in your ALM or your biostats class, some of the case studies that you're working in class. Use all of that to frame what you're going to be doing in the field. So what will I do during practicum? Well, you have a variety of things. The first thing we're going to make sure you do is that you figure out where you want to go. Right? So that's part of the job that we do. And we want to make sure that you are aligned with not only the curriculum, but with a set of competencies that we have on each of your educational learning agreements. But for our school, the other thing that makes us especially unique is that we've centered equity in each of our practicum experiences. And so we're going to ask you to develop either a racial equity or an equity project in your foundation, your concentration, and in your dual practicum experiences. We feel that that is a cornerstone of how to address some of our region's most complex issues. And we really think it's an opportunity for you to work on issues that are impacting populations that experience some of the most inequitable experiences around health. So we really want to make sure we center equity in each of our practicum experiences. Where will you complete your MSW foundation practicum? So for your foundation practicum, we ask that you work with a field instructor that has an MSW and that it is local. So all of your foundation practicum experiences for the foundation practicum will be in a 60-mile radius of the St. Louis region. That also includes Illinois, if you can believe it or not. And so some of our students are doing some of their practicum opportunities with WashU Medical Center, with the WashU Med School. They're doing it here with us in some of our research centers. But then some of our Students are doing it in Illinois in school sites. And so as long as your field instructor has an MSW for foundation, you can pursue that as a field education opportunity. For your dual, you'll complete your, yes, depending on your concentration and your interest, you can do it locally, you can do it nationally, and you may also be able to do it globally. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that you have a local experience all the way to global. And we can talk more specifically about how we set those up, but we want to make sure that your dual and your concentration practicum happen after you've completed your MPH prerequisites, because that's super important to making sure that you're integrating both disciplines with the knowledge and skills that you've gained in your courses. And we have people who are doing their dual practicum at the VA. They're doing it with the health department. They are doing it with Hope Clinic, which is a great way to integrate reproductive health justice. And we also have just some amazing sites here on campus, which is our reproductive, sexual, and violence prevention program. And so if there's specific sites that you've seen on our website that you're interested in, please let us know. And if there's sites that you haven't seen, but you're really curious about, please let us know. Our goal is to support you in gaining the type of experience that you would like to in your practicum. So when will I complete my practicum? This is always such a fun question. So it really depends on when you finish your prerequisites. So we want to make sure that you finish some of your core courses before you move into a practicum experience. So we have some flexibility, and you'll work with a field faculty member on our team, but the schedule that follows is just one example of many, but just one example. So let's start with your foundation practicum. Let's say you begin your foundation practicum in spring. So you finish your prerequisite courses in the fall semester. You will start in the spring semester. In your foundation year, you can do 3 credits, which equates to 360 hours. You will also take an integrative seminar along with that foundation practicum course in the spring. And so that is a way for us to work with you to process what you're learning, especially because it's your very first time for some of you in St. Louis, but some of you in practicum as a whole. And so we want to make sure that we are processing with you the stages, the experiences, helping you with some of your field-related documents, pulling in the things that you've learned in your fall semester. So then after you finish your foundation practicum, you will look at your dual practicum in year 2 in the summer after you've completed your MPH programs and all of the beautiful information that Ragini laid out for you. So you'll go through your MPH year, you'll have your, public health seminar. It'll be fantastic. And you'll learn all about that as a cohort. And so what we want you to also see is that as you're moving throughout your program, you're moving with people who are facing this experience for the first time the same way you are. So you're not moving ahead and you're not moving behind, you're moving with your students together. And so we want you to keep that as just in the back of your mind. And so with your dual practicum, that'll be year 2. Again, that will be 3 credits, 360 hours. And we'll talk to you about the field-related documents that will integrate both your MSW and your MPH competencies and how we will work with you to do that. And this is also an opportunity for you to work closely with Ragini, Kate, who's another member of our field team, and myself to work with other alum and other students who've done their practicum. So we don't want you to think that it's just staff and faculty that you're working with. We also want to make sure that you have some peers that have done this experience as well, who can guide and inform your practice. And then after you finish your dual, you'll finish up your practicum experience through your concentration lens. That will be year 3. And that is in the fall or the spring, depending on how you're thinking about taking your classes, your electives. And that is 2 credits, and that's 240 hours. And that can be, again, in a state, national, global experience, depending on how you're thinking about spacing out your experience. So you can have a local experience for foundation, a national experience for your dual, and you can have a global one for concentration. Again, these are just examples that I'm throwing out to just show you that there's flexibility in context. There's also flexibility in places. And so I want to leave time for questions, but this is just one example that we're going to leave with you. So who are these very interesting people that will help you? Well, that some of them are coming from our office. So you'll take a 3-hour one-time course called Foundations of Fields. That will be with one field faculty member. And then you can choose to speak to any of us. You can choose to speak to Kate because she has both her degrees in MPH and MSW, which she works primarily with our MPH students. You can work with Ragini because she too is a dual. She also may have forgotten to mention that she's also alum. And so she can also share just some really amazing insights about how she got through both of her programs here at the Brown School. And then you can always talk to me because I am in constant contact with community-based organizations that are looking for your unique skill set. Even up to yesterday, we had a school that was looking for public health students because they're realizing with a lot of the gun violence that's happening around school shootings, if violence is a public health issue, then how do we integrate a school lens through MSW with our MSW students and our public health students? And so you all are primed to solve some of our region's, again, most complex issues just through the lens that you are supporting with the dual lens. So you can speak to any of us, you can speak to one of us. We're all here to guide and inform your practice, your learning, and to support you in your career goals.
Thank you so much, Jewel. And Jewel's always sharing my secret that I'm an alum. It's not that it's much of a secret, but I appreciate it. So just to kind of close us out here and open up the room for questions is to talk about our holistic advising model. So we have a 3-tiered advising model at the Brown School. All students will work with an academic advisor. Your academic advisor will be able to guide you through your curriculum, the requirements, and connecting you with resources. And so this also includes ensuring that you register for the classes that you need so that you can graduate, and also academic support resources. Our faculty advisors in the dual degree program, all students are assigned an MSW faculty advisor and an MPH faculty advisor. In some cases, it could be the same individual based on the intersection of your concentration, specialization, and area of interest, or the expertise of the faculty. But in most cases, students are assigned a faculty advisor for their MSW and a faculty advisor for their MPH. Faculty advisors are great resources to connect your classroom experience and out of classroom experiences to then think through enriching your Brown School experience overall, right? And then also thinking through forward thinking, right? Your career trajectories and what you would like to do post Brown School. In regards to the MPH capstone requirement that I mentioned earlier, your MPH faculty advisor will also be assigned to you to help guide you through that process. And then lastly, as Jewel so beautifully said earlier, field education is here to support you and here to help you support you choose a site and identify your goals. I guess another fun fact is I used to work in the Office of Field Education. So really knowing that they're conversation partners for difficult or new experiences in the field, and that they do have availability for daily field faculty advisor the day hours, and then other ways that you can sign up for individual appointments with field faculty as well. Jewel, did I miss anything that you wanted to add there?
No, that was perfect. It's almost like you worked in the Office of Field Education.
All things. Awesome. Well, with that, I know that was kind of like a whirlwind of information, and so happy to revisit or go back to anything that we may have kind of walked you through. But does anybody have any questions? And I do see that I know we've been getting some great questions in the chat. So
Yeah, Ragini, I've answered a couple of questions in the chat. There was one that just popped in about global practicum opportunities. Are there scholarships available to pay for travel, et cetera, or is it out of pocket for students?
Absolutely. So we wanted to make sure that anyone who is thinking of going abroad has the opportunity to. So our Global Programs Office through Tammy Orahood supports students going through a process of an application and developing a budget for the type of support that you'll need. And then she offers scholarships and some support, financial support for you to go to some sites that you choose. So if you have more questions about that, please contact Tammy Orahood from our Global Programs Office. You'll definitely be able to reach out to her. And she starts the process fairly soon. So starting in the fall semester, she starts giving people information just so they have a longer runway to apply for the program, because it generally students go to international practica in the summer when they don't have classes.
Thank you, Jewel. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I'll throw our contact information back up, but I would love to see everyone's faces. It's a lot of us talking and not getting to see the people who are listening. So Jamie, I can take the next question that's in the chat. So Madeline's asking, as advanced standing MSW, will I most likely begin with the MPH classes and then do the MSW MPH practicum in the summer after my first year? So that's a great question, Madeline. So your first semester is going to comprise of probably a mix. You can get a head start on your foundation coursework for public health, so epidemiology and biostatistics. So sometimes advanced standing students just like to get those courses out of the way so that you can do just that, exactly what you put in the chat. So long as you've met requirements, which you will have on the MSW side, finishing out those foundation level courses on the MPH side to then be able to start your dual degree practicum that first summer. If you do decide and we work with you to think about a specialization on the public health side that's not generalist, your spring semester then will probably have some required courses for, let's say, epidemiology and biostatistics, for example. There might be some required courses that you have to take before starting practicum that summer as well.
Thank you.
Well, Sam, thanks for, I think Sam hopped off, but I love that. I have to head back to class. I wanted to thank us. That's great. Any other questions?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Thanks. So I understand that the field practica aren't typically financially compensated. I was wondering if there was any kind of like fund source or scholarship opportunities that students could apply for in order to kind of help out with maybe not being able to work as much during grad school.
Yes, so Jamie and I have thought about putting our heads around this more intentionally. And so when you are given your financial aid package at the very beginning, we're going to ask you to consider allocating some of your package for practicum, because it is a course. And so we want to make sure that you're prepared for just designating some of that as well. We also have fellowships, and we make those available specifically to our MSW and MPH students, not as much as our MSP, but definitely for our MSW and our MPH students. And so we try to make sure that we include that as well. And then sometimes our research centers have remarkable opportunities where you can start off in the fall as a research assistant and then turn that research assistantship that is still paid in a practicum. And so that way, especially for duals, this is particularly an opportunity, because you're going to be working with researchers who are using some of the skills that you too will be using in some of your MPH classes. They'll be using some of the same software, and they'll be providing they'll be helping to provide some of the portfolio products that you would need for your for your dual practicum anyway. So our research centers are also just another great opportunities to do that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, please feel free to put your question in the chat, or you can come off since we're a small group. So please feel free.
This might not be a question that can be answered here, but since I will be doing mostly like public health courses starting in the fall, and I know there's like the Bridge to Brown course for advanced standing, would I still just like go to that Bridge to Brown course normally for advanced standing and then just start with the public health courses like right after?
Yes, so you'll still be considered a student starting in the fall 23 cohort. So any advanced standing student would complete that Bridge to Brown 2 weeks course in advance of the fall semester.
Okay, and then even though I'm taking that like Bridge to Brown course and coming in as advanced standing, would I pay public health tuition? Would that be like my public health tuition year?
So the Bridge to Brown is charged at the per credit tuition hour rate for the MSW program, but then your fall tuition, semester tuition would be charged at the MPH rate.
Okay, thank you.
I know it matters. There's a slight difference in the tuition cost between the two programs due to the total level of credit or total number of credits. So yeah, and our financial services office would also be happy to kind of walk you through that whole sequence for you as well.
Thank you all again for taking the time. This is really thorough, super helpful. One kind of aside question, is there any formal alumni program or is the Brown School at all?
Yeah. Jamie, do you want to take that, or I can do it? Either one's fine. All right. So while you all are in the Brown School, we do have a peer mentorship program. So we do have students that sign up to be peer mentors. And so that could be pairing you with, as a first year student, a third year dual degree student, or someone who's in their second year. Sometimes you might be paired up with students who are just doing the single degree programs. So that is something that is available to you throughout your course and time here at the Brown School. As the faculty chair for the dual degree program, I am intentional about bringing you all back together because I know COVID had a lot of virtual things that probably just felt like it was exhausting to have to talk to people on Zoom. Irony as we talk on Zoom, but trying to bring us together more in person as we start the program, so you all have that connection across cohorts. And as Jules said, that although you'll be moving together as a cohort and you might be meeting new people along the way, just making sure that you all have that connection with each other as you go through the program. So that's while you're here. And then we are actively working on, as of yesterday, and there's another meeting happening today, to create a LinkedIn dual degree Brown School alumni page so that you all can connect with alumni throughout the program and once you leave here as well.
Awesome. Well, I think we're right at time. But if there are any other questions, I encourage you all to reach out to any of our presenters here, or you can always reach out directly to the admissions office at brownadmissions@worcester.edu. In your admit letters, you should also have contact information for a dedicated admissions specialist who is also a great point of contact for you. So whatever works, we are always here to answer your questions and happy to assist you through this journey and decision-making process. And we certainly hope that you all be joining us this fall.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks everyone for being
you.
here. Excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Recording.
You.